Hi, everybody. This is SP. I'm here with a collective reading for everyone. Um, you know, I notice that people are having a really hard time, and when times tend to get hard, my go-to motto is try and add value to someone else's life, of course, with dignity and within boundaries, so that you can kind of sustain your spirit of service for longer. And so, in that vein, today I have my Kali Oracle deck. I have my past life Oracle cards. Um, and to those that are curious about this, when I did past life readings, I did not use cards. I'm just using these cards because they kind of caught my fancy right now. Um, okay, so I'm gonna set the intention and pray that, you and I, whoever's watching this right now, we're connected not just to each other, but to something else that's a higher force. And I'm just hoping that that power aids me in delivering to you anything that you need to hear or anything that could be helpful. Please also just use your powers of discernment, I would say, and only take what seems to apply to you. Okay. Okay. So, what are some collective messages for Shakti? I'm gonna keep shuffling until I get the impulse to. Okay, stop. Now I stop. Oh, okay. The first card that we have is the Vakalika. I'm just gonna pull another one and see if anything kind of comes up that will help me clarify the message. Bhavatarini. Okay, I got this. I got this. And our bottom deck energy is actually Mahakali. And actually in this deck, this one is this card is the commencement of the Mahavidya series in this deck. So and actually right below this we have the Chinnamasta card. Um so yeah, the message with this card, Durga Kalika, it always talks about justice needing to be brought to a situation. And perhaps you're someone that, in the context of your life, you feel like you might get taken for a ride, or you feel like life hasn't been fair to you. And you'd be surprised how many people think this about their life. That's because human beings in general are just predisposed to thinking that, hey, it wasn't my fault. I tried my best. Um, but at the same time, right? This is a protective force. Like, look at this card. It's clearly not playing around. There's a third eye in the skull too. There's a trident. It's talking about the justice of the goddess, you know. So she's on your side. She's gonna help you find a new way, and she's going to make it so that some cycles in your life truly end for the good and betterment of you and people around you. But I think you have to do your bit and help out as well, you know? Like, take the hand that's being offered to you. Now, this Bhavatarani card, how I remember this is the form that Ramakrishna Paramahansa, who's a really, really famous devotee of Kalima, because he was Swami Vivekananda's guru. So he used to worship Ma in this form, and it's really beautiful. And one thing that, one way to read cards is also just to go off of some of the imagery um that's present here. So you know how she's adorning herself with the garland in this one. Um, it's like, take your flowers in a way, a very simplistic way. Just take your flowers. If nobody's giving you your flowers, just take them. Please acknowledge yourself. Please build yourself up. People are not always going to hand you praise. And it may not even be selfishness. It might be some other kind of like mental warping that stops them from being able to hold praise from you and a certain view of themselves, because you never know, people's opinions of themselves uh, should not be comparative, but very often they end up being that way. And so giving someone else a compliment might, in their logic, detract from their own gain. So that's possibly why they haven't been able to voice it. But you, if you know you're deserving, or at least you suspect it, take steps to feel worthy, become a version of yourself, and hold those boundaries in space that people can't energetically violate. When you embody a certain energy, people can't approach you in the same way they used to anymore. And some people find this disconcerting because they're just used to taking and taking from you. And this card, this Mahakali card, um, this is the beginning, I guess, of the Mahavidya, 10 Mahavidyas series in this deck. And I take this to mean in the context of this reading that we're having, is that, of course, this whole deck is about Kalima, but I take this to mean that the commencement of greater wisdoms is beginning in your life. But those two things that I mentioned in the previous aspects of the reading, they're very important. And now, because I've said so much related to karmic cycles and cycles not repeating themselves, I am taking this deck. This is a past life deck. The thing with past lives, I know we love to glamorize them, but they, at the base, right? At the basic level, they just it's just a system of patterns. It's yet another system of patterns, and patterns that you've been carrying on from possibly another lifetime, which to some people is very hard to digest. But cast aside the magical thinking aspect of it, and whether you believe it or not, and embrace the wisdom that just boils down to patterns and the fact that habits don't leave us. But on that note, neither does love. you know and so when you're presented with fated choice, like, am I going to go towards my habits, or am I going to go towards my love? Like, and that could be in any aspect of life. Like, your habit is just to shrink back, but a part of you wants to, let's say, get on stage or um, perform at a comedy show. So you know what to do. You know how to move into greater love is to feed that part of you that's healthier, that's tied to the universal consciousness of abundance and of generosity. Oh my God, health. Okay. The next card is Orphan. Interesting. I'm going to take two more. Galactic. The monk or nun. Okay. This is so interesting. What could it be? What could this message be? Um, so you see how this is like an image of a snake, but also like the Kundalini energy, which is, I don't want to drop it casually, of course, but like, how that's also mentioned to be snake-like. Some of you could also be Ashlesha in Vedic astrology if you're watching, perhaps. Uh, or maybe like a Shadapesha. It's since the health card has popped up. So pay attention to your health, and pay attention to, again, that factor where I'm talking about the things you love and things that are just habitual to you. So maybe your habit is to be more of a binge eater, or just to have something every day that's kind of an addiction. It could be like a sweets addiction, or like a croissant addiction. It doesn't have to be like a big thing, but it's a choice. It's a choice that you're making every day. Okay, don't forget that. Orphan. Sometimes, you know what it is that we can, as a way of punishing ourselves for not being loved, for not being awesome and not living up to our expectations. We just want to internalize every kind of frustration that we have, and then because we're unhappy with ourselves, we punish ourselves more, and that doesn't make sense. But it's hard to explain that to the reptilian brain in a human that's like kind of operating when we're in that zone of lack and uncertainty, and that can take a hold of us. Now, this galactic card, I'm going to take it to mean it talks about universal forces. I don't know. For all it could mean, some of you maybe you need to watch more alien shows. I'm serious, not like ancient aliens, but it might help you some way. Or you need to just gaze at the sky a little more to give you some perspective, like some night sky meditation, looking at the stars, where you can actually see that your life is insignificant. And this is something that can help you at the same time as it is a bit like shattering, and it's a bit mellowing, right? As a human being. Monk or nun? Okay. Monk or nun, orphan, health. Okay. So the monk or nun card and health being together, there's certain form of things that maybe you need to abstain from. I don't just mean in terms of like you know, like conjugal activities. I just mean that like food that's harmful for you, activities, maybe even TV shows actually for some of you, because essentially what monks and nuns do is that they live in very almost like sanitized and controlled environments, because their entire focus is about going inward and purging sort of the emotions that come up. A person that's living that kind of life, they develop like a high tolerance to things that come from within. This doesn't mean that you take abuse from others now. It just means that you sit with yourself longer. Don't look for an escape in other human beings. And when you do that, when you really need an escape in other people, is when you tend to have some of the worst boundaries, and that's when you attract some of the worst people in like your life. And years later, you're like, yo, why was my life a black hole at that point? And you're like, well, duh. And obviously, this doesn't apply to all cases, but I'm just going to take one more card, and then we're going to try and summarize and wrap up. Okay. Karmic relationship. Okay. I'm going to need one more card. What's happening? Spouse. Guys, what's this? Okay. It's kind of funny though to get this in one. Sorry, not to laugh like a crazy person, but like, okay. Okay, so far as karmic relationship goes, there's two ways of interpreting this, right? Karmic in the sense that from a lower angle, when you're in lack and when you're in that codependent energy, you're attracting the worst of the worst fate for yourself. So imagine if your life is a movie, okay, but you can up level up level and unlock a new script for yourself, but you're always on this track right here. You're never moving up here, and like up leveling from there to here, it may not even be a drastic change. It's just some decisions you need to make in your head about, hey, I'm not a loser. I am actually a very qualified, very deserving, very lovable person. Boom. And yeah, so, you know, on a one life track, he also looks like a soldier or something, no? Like he has a gun in his hand. That's so funny. That's so funny to me. Okay. What? So when you want to move, as with like relationships and any other things in life, I suppose why we get the monk and nun card here is because the ability to be alone. and to be alone well is, I think, kind of an indicator that you can magnetize something into your life that's not playing on the uh worst of your reptilian brain, all those impulses and impressions that your ancestors left you, because your ancestors didn't just leave you with like good fight and flight. Of course you need that to be here, but they also left you with like, am I gonna eat tomorrow? Am I gonna eat tomorrow? Am I still gonna have like a girlfriend tomorrow, a boyfriend tomorrow, or like a partner tomorrow? You know, so your brain is like going into overdrive, and you make all these like crazy decisions, like being with someone that you actually despise. When you sit with yourself and you reflect on what your values are, this person is turning you into someone that you despise, and is bringing out the worst in your behaviors. So you take better decisions for yourself. And sometimes that automatically pushes certain people out of your life. It doesn't have anything to do with you being bad, of course. It may not even have anything to do with them being bad. It's just that they don't get you and they can't go where you're going or where you want to go, and at the speed that you want to go. And I don't even mean speed necessarily in the messed up way that we've come to think of it in our life, like, hey, you need to achieve this by this like impossible deadline. No, I just mean speed as in like sometimes, we might have some kind of responsibility that we're born into this world for, and in order to do that well, we need to move at a certain pace, and certain detractors will block us from that. And it's our responsibility to look within and say, can I park this in my life for a little bit? Can I just park this? Can I give it a rest for a little while? If I, how you have to fan a fire for it to grow. If I just don't give it any air for a little bit, and if I just try and nurture some different parts of me, what kind of people do I pull? How do they make me feel? Do I feel good? So, because, okay, going off of the tarot, right? In the tarot, the Lover's card is not just a romantic card, it represents choice, okay, and good decision making. And that comes from love that is more than insecure, you know? You can be a possessive person, you can be kind of funny like that, it can be a quirk that you indulge, but I just mean that kind of angst that you put yourself through. Maybe you can just be fixed by deciding that you're a worthy person, and that's why someone would give you their time and attention. And it would help you not have a fixed idea of what that looks like, because maybe you think that your happiness lies with someone that kind of just like goes with every bad idea that you have. But no, it might just turn out that your ideas are in certain areas are actually quite bad. So you do need like a stabilizing or opposing force in this direction, not so much to knock you, but maybe a little, But all in all, I can tell from the energy of this collective reading that there is like changes coming, there's new stuff coming, there's more justice coming, but you gotta like, these are your hands, you gotta put them forward and receive. Imagine like, okay, imagine if, let's say, imagine you won like $1 million, and they would only give it to you if you were home, and they could hand it to you in person, but you're not home because you're out someplace, just like dissociating or doing something that's not healthy for you, right? You have to put yourself where success exists. You have to put yourself where chances of success exist. You have to take certain risky actions to change the course of your life. It's not always going to feel risky or scary, just those crucial moments. And then you've aced the thing. You've aced the thing that your concern's over. Um, and so live for the little moments, and let your impulses be not lower impulses, but tuned into something higher that they can guide you to a good place. Okay. Um, I'm gonna end this here, but I hope it helped.